Doing another building tutorial on Conan Exiles. Today we're going to be talking about roofs, and we are also going to be talking about shrines and how to place them, because I know that they can be really annoying. So, one of the first things that I'm going to discuss is how to make a small tent, kind of in the Pictish style. So, obviously the materials that I'm just using from my last video. I'm not really going to be trying to change it, simply because I don't want to. So these tents are extremely easy to use. You don't really need much for them. The main thing that you're going to need is an entry point. So I'm going to say that that is my entry point. And we're just going to go around from here. Do try to keep in mind that because of the make of this itself, it's not going to have the front little roof piece. So that can make it so that other people can access your builds. And then you can color it out and get rid of all of the foundations that are inside. For most Pictish characters, they don't really tend to care about whether or not they receive proper items. So basically, a thing in the Pictish culture is that Picts like to give gifts to one another. So it doesn't really matter what the gift is, so long as you give them a gift. So for this type of build, if you are planning on having a roof on it anyways, there's a couple things that you can do here. So for this in particular, let me go into the admin panel and grab something. Usually I have these things already done by now. And since we were using thatched, we're going to go with the thatch awning. This is probably gonna break it. Watch. Yeah. Sorry, this is a learning process for me as well. Because I don't usually make these tents, I just know how they are made. And then to do the entrance, because I imagine you're gonna want a door of some sort. Because I always want a door. No matter what I'm playing or what I'm doing. Whenever you're building these types of tents, I would recommend finding a flat surface to do it on, and remember that while you are in co-op mode, you can actually pick the pieces back up. Now, you can't pick it back up if, say, you've punched the piece. I don't know why, because it's supposed to be immune to that type of damage, but apparently it lies. So, you just keep whittling it down until you get down to the ground. Which you should still be able to, yeah, you can still pick that up. And then you can put your door. So we'll go to the admin panel and look for the stable. You can get it with the frame, without the frame. Make sure that you're getting the little one, and then the stable fence gate, because you can also get the large gate. And then looks like I hadn't dodged it. There's some Pictish people who are just like, I don't care about a door. And then there are other people who are like, oh hey, we need a door. This is important. Let's see if I can't get that awning in there now. Yep, but that looks really awkward. That's good. That's great. Wonderful. But for most, like I said, Pictish people, they're not going to care about having a door. That's one way that you can make the tent. Fuck. Also, if you're watching this with your kids, keep in mind I cuss. I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry. That's amusing to me. That's great. But a lot of building is just a lot of give and take, because sometimes, you know, with these you can easily make them turn around, and then other times they just don't want to. It's their prerogative. They're going to do what they want to do. But if you decide that you don't want that, you don't want a door on your house, then, you know, you don't have to have a door on your house. It's your house. You can just have this little hut, or whatever you want. If you are more interested in having something that is closer to the ground, then you can do the same thing with these on the ground. Just keep in mind that you will have less headspace whenever you're doing this, but I suppose it'll look a little bit more natural when it comes down to it. That's the whole point of this. We're gonna test out and see, I guess. Striking again. And you can use any foundation, although I would recommend that you do not use black ice, because it causes a lot of lag on online servers. So that is something that I would recommend you stay away from. Another thing is your thralls will cause lag because they do loop emotes. Even if you don't have them set up with an emote, they do still have emotes that they do, because they do the generic character, like brushing themselves off and, you know, whatever else. Oh, shit. Well, okay, that works too. Sometimes you make messes and you have to clean them up. But that's okay, because like Bob Ross said, we don't make mistakes, we make happy accidents. But I'm not Bob Ross, and I say you messed up when you mess up. Okay. So you can make them like this too. turn that little piece around, and you have your hut that is on there. Now, do keep in mind that if you have a purge, the thralls are going to attack this part, and if you're not using a T3 building material, then that can be detrimental to the stability of this little tent. But then again, this is plant fiber and, you know, twigs. It's not anything that is that particularly hard to get. I'm stuck because I'm not paying attention. I think taller characters might have to, you know, bend down to get in here. But let's test out the door. I know, I chose the worst possible door. Oops. Chose the worst possible door for this. What did I do to myself for this? Okay, there we go. But, okay, so. Let's see if people can still get in there. But that's okay, because whenever you are building in this particular style, you're usually building something that is, you know, a Yogite or a Pictish individual, because they tend to live in little huts like this. Pictish people you're going to find mostly in the jungle. Yogites you're going to find in the deserts, and they would be more common to having this, because if you go up to the camps that they have around here, you will see that most of their tents are open, and the only thing that they have is boxes nearby and a bedroll. So, you may also put a bed in there. So, that is the tent, in a circular fashion. I can show you how to do it in the regular little square as well. So, whenever you are making the square version of that, we're going to do it close to the ground, because why not? Okay, so I'll make a box tent. Okay. Now, usually you're going to want to go with something wider, so that you'll have more room to do things, so you can make it wider and longer. We'll go with 4x3 rather than messing up constantly. Yeah, that's great. But, so, you have your foundation, and then you just have your walls. And as this is a tent, remember that tents are kind of open. So generally, you're not going to have a back on your tent. But if you don't want to do it in the generic style of a tent, like that, and you want it to be more so that it is closed off. Also, if you're wanting to hide the fact that you use foundations, you can just get rid of the foundations that are exposed. And then it becomes the tent is connected to the ground instead of connected to that. You can do the same thing for here as well. Just get rid of that and you can walk in here. Go, oh look, I have a house. Everyone celebrates. Sorry. Although with this elevated type of tent, you are going to have more room to walk around. Although I would almost recommend that instead of using this piece, you use this piece as your way to get in. Simply because it naturally is going to leave the hole, and it won't look as big. Oh, what? Wait, what did I do? Oh, I see what I did. Okay. I accidentally placed it too small. make sure you pay attention when you're building, because otherwise you will mess up your entire build. That little piece of instability right there that I had created, if this were bigger than what it is, it would have brought the whole thing down. So you don't even need to worry about it when you're doing that. Yeah. So if you have your foundations raised and you put boxes down, you can actually put a box down, like the big iron and shaped wood boxes. You can put a shelf on top of that and put another box on top. But remember, if you are playing a person who is going to live in this type of tent, which would, as I said, be a Yogite or a Pict, remember that those types of characters are going to be the ones that are a little more skeptical of anything metal. So instead of this Turanian build, I would recommend putting, say, stable foundation or insulated wood or something that looks more natural, something that looks like you can just stack things on top of it. So continuing on with the other do that right there. Okay. Alright, good. So, you've decided that you're going to live in a tent, but you want the back to be closed. You just take the thatched roof and put it there. You can also use walls. There's nothing prohibiting that, of course. But, I would recommend using this because it looks more like a tent rather than... Whoops. I had it right the first time. Okay. And then you have your tent, like that. So that is a generic tent look. Like, say your character's going camping or something for whatever reason, or that's just the type of thing that you decide you want to do. This works. Okay, so now I'm going to go over how to combine a circular type build with square build and see how those roof pieces interact with one another. I am going to use foundations just for expediency's sake, but you already know how to use not foundations. So. Okay, so whenever you have a 2x2 piece, I didn't grapple pieces because I'm smart. The 2x2 is going to be the easiest way for you to connect a circular build as well as a square build. Simply because they mesh right up against one another. Actually, no, sure. And then we're going to do stable wall. Do keep in mind that stable fence pillars, even though they do have pillars that look like they support the above, they're not actually going to support anything because they work just like a fence. So whenever you try to use them, they don't react the same way. However, on the opposite side of that, the stable fence gate actually does act like a door, so you can put building pieces on top of it, which you saw earlier. I was just amused because of the way that it looked with the building. Okay. So, we're going to say that this is our building. And that is going to be the roof piece. And it meshes up pretty well on smaller builds. Which, these smaller builds are perfect for, say, thrall housing or storage. So, if you are in a roleplay server and you decide that, you know, you're going to be taking people into your village, what you can do is make a few small houses around you. And I would recommend not putting any building pieces within those houses, rather not putting any decoration pieces within the houses. And I would instead put boxes inside of the housing. You can make little storage units that aren't very big, that whenever you run into your main base, you don't have to worry about loading into, because your storage unit is in another location. And whenever you run past a box and your crosshair looks into that box, your character has to take the time to load it in. And unfortunately, this also happens whenever you pass by someone's locked container. Because even though you can't see what's in there, it has to register like you can. For whatever reason, I don't know. So, if you do a bigger build, so let's say a 4x. Like I said, pay attention to what you're doing. Because even if you accidentally kick that building piece, it's not going to go back into your inventory. Okay. So, you have this dilemma right here, which is where you have these holes in your roof, because clearly if the square pieces are larger than the circular pieces, they're not going to match up very well. And that is actually where you need to add in additional things. No, stable doesn't have any of that, so we're going to go with wood. Okay. Oh, here we go. Alright. So, there's no way for you to connect that up there. So you have to decide whether or not you want to go with that route, which is you make a roof on the inside, because then you're going to have a building piece to connect to for the downward sloping pieces. close in the top part, so nobody has to see that. Some people choose to just round off the roof. So instead of bringing that up, they just round it off. Because whenever you walk in here, you can see that you have plenty of looking space. And it really just depends. It really just depends on what you're wanting to put inside the building anyway. So if this is just going to be somebody's house that's got decorations in it and such, then you probably don't need to worry too much about how tall your roof is. But if you're going to have crafting benches, then you might need to worry about that. And considering that generally, if you're concerned with the way your build looks, you're probably on a roleplay server, you can probably just put your crafting items outside. Just make sure that you lock things away whenever you get done doing what you're doing, because in the roleplay community, some people do roleplay thieves, and you know, you want to try to avoid that as much as possible. And do keep in mind that depending on how big your build is, that is going to determine how stable your roof is going to be. And in some situations, it's going to become rather apparent that you will need to make rooms out of some things rather than just keeping them as they are. So I know that you might want a big open area, but you have to kind of pick your battles when it comes to that. From my understanding, a roof can be, let me see. We're just using this to demonstrate the roof. So that's, you know what, we're going to do this with the foundation piece, because that's what you're going to be working with and building with. So it'll go up 4 spaces. But keep in mind that that's not incredibly stable. So it'll stay, but it won't be stable. But that's about what you have to use whenever it comes to building pieces themselves. And that's directly linked to the foundation itself. So we're going to test to see how far you can go whenever it's not linked to the foundation itself. Okay, so it's still 4 pieces that you can go. Okay. So I don't know why. Oh, never mind. Okay, cool. Great. Right. That was what I was trying to avoid. So I don't know why Conan didn't make the sloped roof corner piece, because it seems like it would make perfect sense considering some people might want to do that. But it is what it is. So, whenever you come to a situation where you have that particular triangle piece, I would recommend just rounding out the roof. That's not to say you can't try other things, or even perhaps use that as a balcony. So, say that this is a 2-story building. Oops. Good job, Kelly. Doing it like a pro. Okay, so say that you have the 2-tier building piece. You can make that into a balcony. It's all about making your build look good whenever it comes to this type of situation. So whether that be rounding off the roof or giving it a balcony, because you don't want your roof to be too tall if it isn't required to be. Simply because it starts making your build look a little ridiculous. So I'll show you with... I'll show you with this. Whoops. Okay, so this is clearly going to be a very big build. And you can make a really big longhouse out of this, or whatever it is you're wanting to build. It really just depends on what you're doing, but you have to make this enormous in order for that type of roof to be presentable anyway. So if you're doing a smaller build, smaller roofs are better. If you're doing a build that's supposed to be impressive or intimidating, I don't know why that happened, but it did, and we're gonna roll with it. Good grief. And then if you mess up, whenever you have a build like that, you have to climb up on top of the build and go in and because of the nature of this kind of build, if you don't have anything supporting the bottom, then if you get hit with a purge and one of the pieces gets destroyed, then you have to replace that piece and all of the roof leading up. Although, not gonna lie, that's a pretty cool look for, say, a high hall or something. Well, not a high hall, but maybe a circus tent or something. I don't know. You can't do things like this with circular pieces because the stability just, it's not linear. There's nothing to help with that kind of building piece, really. So it's a little bit harder to make big circular builds look that impressive, and that's where the pillars come in. I didn't count this out properly, so we're just gonna see where this goes. You're going to take your time and fix this so that it's not all foundations, because foundations do cause a lot of server lag, unfortunately. Okay. Oops. Would be a lot of lag. So just whenever you're building a piece this size, what I recommend is underneath the square pieces put the pillars, and that will help with stability of the build as a whole. And it would be really hard for people to destroy it if that is something that they're inclined to try to do. That's not to say that your build will be impenetrable and the greatest thing ever. That's just to say that your build will be harder to destroy than opposed to normal. Cool. It actually wound up being the type of circular pieces that I wanted. That's great. Okay, so because we're focused more on the roof portion of this, I'm not going to waste a bunch of time making this look fancy or pretty. I apparently am going to waste time in putting blocks in the wrong places, but that's just a normal thing. Bother with a door, although I will show you how to place a gate foundation properly. And they take some finagling and some working with, so don't be surprised whenever it comes to dealing with them. I apologize that it has to be dealing with them, but of course it will be. If you want a gate and you want it to look proper, you have to deal with it. Okay, so for the roof, you are going to make sure that the piece you are putting up is going to match up with the piece underneath it. So it would be the three of those pieces, and then you would go back and do these pieces and alternate. Which usually, for expediency's sake, I go through and place all of one type of roof piece before I continue and go back and do the other piece. It's just so that it's a little bit faster than... Okay, alright, cool, I get that, but... Whoops. Oh well. And again, if you mess up, you literally just have to go back and delete it. That's pretty much all there is. So, with a build this big, you're either going to go and create rooms, or if you want that open air effect, you would go through and instead of rooms, you're going to put pillars. And the rooms are more stable than the pillars under normal circumstances. I don't entirely know why. That's just how it is. Oh, I know why. It's because the rooms offer more support than the pillar does. Because whenever you make a room, you're making points of connectivity. But then, like I said, you're going to make sure that the layer you are doing corresponds to the piece below it. So that's how you're going to get the best approach to your roof. That's how it's all going to match up and mix well. And so then, let me see. Because of the lack of stability, you can't put the middle pieces that you need to complete the roof. So that means that you are going to put the pillars. So you have that there, that there. You're going to do the pillars here in the threes. And I just recommend doing it this way because you get a little more stability out of it. But you can use this way instead if you are really inclined to. I need to see if they fit though. So I feel like I wouldn't. It's just a little less stable. But you're gonna go up to meet. Oh wait, that was the wrong thing. You're going to go up to meet your next layer of roof. Okay. So then I would recommend making a door so that you don't get stuck inside of your build, because I'm smart and decided not to put the door. We remember me talking about not putting a door because I couldn't be bothered to. So now instead I had to climb out. But you're going to make sure that the pillars that you place match up with the bottom, whoops, with the corresponding tile piece below. You're gonna hear whoops a lot, probably. I'm a reckless builder sometimes. But everything always turns out okay in the end. Since you can pick up the pieces now, you don't waste as many. Which is a great comfort to me, knowing that I'm not wasting as many resources for my clan or for myself than I have to. So thank you, Funcom, for that at least. Okay, so, whoops, well, that went poorly. You can choose whether or not you want to put walls right here, but do keep in mind that these walls are going to create stability so long as they're not the type that are hanging off, so that has no stability at all. But if you put it up here, then it is going to have the stability that you're looking for, because it's going to give an extra little bit of peace of mind whenever it comes to that, because it's going to let you build a little bit more up. And you just fill in the missing pieces. Since I didn't put a door, I don't really care what the inside looks like, so I'm not going inside to fix that thing. And see, sometimes these things don't want to cooperate for whatever reason. I don't know why. They just don't. So then you can just dismantle it, put it back, and see if that works. You know? And hopefully you haven't put your wall up by then. But even if you do, the way that it works now, it gives you back that little piece of what you lost. So, again, continuing on with the corresponding floor piece below. Oh my gosh, please. Will you... yes? Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you. Good croc on a flip-flop. Sometimes they just don't want to do what you want them to do, and then it's very infuriating. But that one did, because I told it to. Sometimes you just have to move your camera around a little bit to see what it's willing to do and what it's not willing to do. Sometimes you have to completely change your position because they want to do stupid crap like that. Good. Would you please? Alright, look. Okay. It was going so well, and then the Fire Nation attacked. There we go. Okay. Alrighty. Perfect. See? Nothing a little complaining can't handle. Don't take that mindset, kids. That's very Karen of me to say. So just don't take that mindset. Okay. Go. I don't know why I decided to quit doing what I was doing halfway through to go do this part, but, you know, it is what it is. This is what ADHD looks like. Because not only do you get annoyed with yourself for forgetting what you were doing, or for changing your prerogative, or whatever it is you're doing. Falling off of this would not be fun under normal circumstances. Okay, so we're gonna try taking out that wall and putting it back down and seeing if that helps. Okay. No? Why? What the? Oh my goodness. It tends to not want to cooperate after a certain point. Oh sure, but you want to cooperate with that. Why? Okay. Okay. I'm just gonna be chill. Just gonna be chill. I'm really not, but we're gonna claim that I am. I just want you to do the thing, please. I will give you a cookie and a juice box if you will just do this. Please. Pretty please. With ice cream on top. So sometimes you have to come back down and fix your stability issues, which is probably what's going on top. See that? Keep in mind that changing anything down below can potentially ruin your entire build. So once you've placed something down underneath, you need to make sure that you don't come back and change it later. Unless you are certain that it won't be detrimental to your build itself. And sometimes you just have to come down and do it from a different perspective as well. There we go. There we go. Please. See, I'm just trying to make a video. I'm just trying to help people, and you are making that incredibly difficult. I'm not going to look this gift horse in the mouth. I am not. I'm just gonna roll with it, and then it's going to do that. Okay, alright, fine. So see, because you have a wall there, you can place these without having to go do anything ludicrous like put something above it. Okay, now will you please? Please? Pretty please? There you go. See, I knew you could do it. Okay. And then you're nearing the end of this really dizzying thing. Okay. Ooh, it did it all the way to the top. Cool. See, sometimes you just need different perspective. And, you can change the wall type down below. Like, that's not going to affect your build. See? It literally did not change the roof at all. And then you are the bane of my existence. I've missed a piece. Again. Why do I do these things to myself? And for those of you who are like, oh, it's so cute when she gets mad. No. It is not. Wait a minute. Hold on. Did I do that? I didn't do this part. Oh my goodness gracious. I just dropped down and started trying to fix it. Oh, jeez. Okay, well, anyways, you get the point. You can come out and fix it and do what you need to do and be a productive member of society or whatever. But you see? Just... My OCD is not going to let me let this go, is it? Okay, alright, would you please just do the thing. Do the thing, Julie. Well, you see it can be done. Okay, you know what? No, I'm not gonna deal with that. I'm just... You see, you have witnessed that it can be done. You've noticed, and in order to make a little bit of variety, I would leave that blank anyways. Like, that would just be me. To leave that blank up there, because it makes it look like it's not one giant roof. So you can see in part, you can see that, and then you can also see how it looks whenever it's all together like that. So you just decide which one you like more and go with it. It's a difficult project, but It can be done, and you've witnessed it be done. So, now we're going to talk about shrines, because I'm tired of roofs. Okay, so, there are a few ways that you can place a shrine, and a shrine is going to be a 3x5. And shrines are square building pieces, but like, in here, you could place it in the center of this. 100% absolutely could place it in the center of this. It would take some finagling, because shrines don't like to do things for whatever reason, but you could do it. And if you're not someone who cares about whether or not it's in the center of the build, oh good grief. Okay, we're gonna have a Shrine of Mitra, I guess. Did it give it to me? No, it did not. Okay, so you just choose whichever one. Oh, that's why, because it was an upgraded thingy. Okay. So, congratulations, you worship Derketo. Okay. So Derketo is going to need at least 4 spaces above her head, or rather, she's going to need at least 4 spaces from the ground below going up to be able to be placed within a building. And you can absolutely 100% just place down the shrine and build everything around it. Like I said, Derketo is going to be a 3x5. All shrines are 3x5. Whoops. And this gives them room to grow whenever they start going through the transition of becoming an upgraded shrine. Just remember to try to limit yourself on upgraded shrines, because they do cause lag, just like everything else that's animated. And it's because of the giant beam, I think. Most definitely. Now, if you notice I didn't put any support column underneath, that was just because so I would put 2 support columns, one underneath here and one underneath here. But that's just because it's me. So these shrines do not like people for whatever reason. And it says not enough contact with the ground whenever it's pretty much in the exact center. For whatever reason, this wants to work with me today, so that's cool. So she's going to have a little bit of space to grow in the back, a little bit of space to grow on the sides. And as you notice, it was incredibly easy to put this here whenever it was the starting focal point. But let's say you've already built your building and you've decided that you want to put a shrine in there. So again, she's going to be 3x5. Whoops. Whoops does not mean please place it back in the same spot, game. Again, we're going to put on stability points, but this time we're going to have wing points. And if this doesn't do what it usually does, I'm going to be really mad. Because usually it says, no, not aligned enough. Are you kidding me? Apparently it's aligned enough with the ground, you guys. Okay, well, alright. Thanks, Derketo. But, if you find that your shrine is not wanting to cooperate with you as well as these two have today, then I suggest a few things. Okay, so foundations, I would say, are forbidden on most servers. However, wooden platforms are not. So, I'm going to grab some wooden platforms and show you. Except it would just be platform instead of platforms. Is it stage? Yep. Okay, so you're gonna want that, and like whatever corner piece you want. Sorry, Derketo. I don't feel like building another thing. And whenever you do this, make sure that you have your wall back behind the stage pieces, because it will not allow you to place a wall behind stage pieces after that point. So, you are going to take your pieces and place them however you want. Usually I make them all face the same way because, you know, I make them match up with the bottom portion. I wish I would have known both of them were going to do that. Jeez. So you make sure that the platform that you build with your wooden stages is as long as the platform would be normally. Or rather, as long as the shrine would be normally. And if you have a slight overhang on your shrine, it's not going to place properly, so you want to go ahead and put your stage pieces there as well. I'd rather your step pieces. I'm gonna do this one today because why not? So then you just take your Derketo shrine and try to... Oh, it's too close to another type of the same object. Okay, cool. So you just make sure to do your best to try to get it to line up in the middle, or anybody who has OCD is gonna go nuts. Make sure you give her a little bit of space to grow in the back. And you can also put like a donations box or whatever behind there that you want. You can also put items on top of the shrine, like pillows, and things like that. And there you have your Derketo shrine that's on platforms. And you have a Derketo shrine that's not on platforms. And you can also simply place your shrine on the ground and build around it. So long as it's not too close to an object of the same type. Oh, sandstorm. But I believe that that does it for this video. If there's anything that you want to see concerning builds, just leave a comment or message me if you have me added on Discord. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Or don't. I don't really care whether or not you interact with this video, just so long as you found it educational and helpful. But thank you very much, and have a wonderful day. Bye!